that glass breaks, must be time to welcome to the show Austin Price from Volquest.com, who joins us every week thanks to Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. Austin, thank you for the time as always. Set the scene for us. 7 o'clock Eastern tonight. Wide receiver Mike Matthews, highly touted in the 2024 class, is going to make his announcement. What are we looking at tonight?
Well, I mean, Mike's going to make his announcement amongst 4 teams, and, Tennessee's had the edge here for probably a couple of months. And some other teams like Southern Cal and Clemson have made solid runs, but still feel like Tennessee's the team to beat heading into the night.
AP, I've been waiting to talk to you, man. I've been waiting to talk to you, AP. We got a wide receiver committing today. Hopefully Tennessee is the pick. But over the next couple of weeks, as we round out the month of July, I'm looking for Tennessee to kind of catch up with some of the teams in the SEC East, especially Florida, who's been on a tear. Who are some of the names that we can kind of pay attention to that hopefully will be Tennessee commitments?
Well, we set that over-under at 5.5 back 4 weeks ago, heading into to round out by July, and I said over. Mike would be 4. Edwin Spillman will decide between Tennessee and Ohio State coming up on Friday. If he picks Tennessee, that would be 5. And then Cai Bates will announce his decision next Wednesday between LSU, Tennessee, and then 5 other schools that just don't matter. It's Tennessee or LSU for the corner from Orlando. And if they can land him, that would be 6, which would get us to the over. Those are kind of the next set to announce. Amari Jefferson will announce August 5th. And that's kind of where we're at. We're all trying to figure out what Bennett Warren's going to do. I think Bennett felt like he'd be off the board by this point. I think there's been an internal kind of tug-of-war there in his recruitment. I think Bennett kind of wants one way, parents thinking another. And, so I think he's kind of slowed things down and said, okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk through it and see if we can kind of figure it out. And, does he take any visits at the end of July? Does he go to Texas A&M, which is a school that's right down the road from him in Houston? See kind of where things go from there, and we'll see with Bennett Warren. But that's kind of the next, 4. Mike tonight, Edwin Friday, Cai Bates next Wednesday, and Amari Jefferson August 5th. That's the next kind of 4 that we know about that will pull the trigger for or against Tennessee over the next few weeks.
Austin Price is with us from Volquest, joining us each week thanks to Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. How important is Edwin Spillman at linebacker with his announcement coming up in a couple of days?
Well, you want to keep the best players at home, right? And, Tennessee's done a really nice job of that the last 2 years. Ronan O'Connell's one that they would love to have had. He got away to Clemson. And other than that, Tennessee's done a really good job in state. And they'd love to close out Edwin on Friday. They'd love to close out Amari Jefferson coming up on August 5th. If they can kind of flip the momentum there. It's a Tennessee-Alabama battle. And but Edwin's very important. And Edwin's wanted his moment, right? I mean, everybody just assumes he's going to go to Tennessee because older brother Nathan's already on the team. And so I think Edwin, much like Caleb Herring a year ago, wanted to have the process himself and not just be an assumption. And, he's went through and taken visits. He visited Florida State. He visited Ohio State. He was supposed to visit Georgia, then he decided to cancel that because I don't think he felt like, they were a realistic option. And, it's down to Tennessee and Ohio State, and he'll announce on Friday, but very much a big want for Josh Heupel.
Well, Austin, is there a plan for offensive tackle if Tennessee is unable to get their top picks on the board?
Well, right now they're sitting there with a handful of O-line commits, but, none of them are true tackle bodies. Gage Genther probably the most realistic, or Jesse Perry. But Jesse Perry is in a run-heavy offense, hasn't done a whole lot of pass blocking from Middle Tennessee Christian. So the biggest thing Tennessee needs is, tackle bodies that could step in and play. And even if you're taking a true freshman, was Darnell really what he turned into as a true freshman? No. Wanye, same thing. And, it's just hard. It's hard to throw guys out there at tackle. Tennessee's going to lose 2 of their main 3 tackles after this year. And then Gerald Mincy, I think is a I think Gerald Mincy thinks this is going to be his last year of college football, and then he would be off to the NFL too. So you're needing some, tackle bodies. Some of the guys you have in the program are the more, developmental guys. Are they going to be ready by this time next year? We'll see. But I think what they're going to have to do, Jason, is they're going to go to the transfer portal. I think they're going to have to do what they did this past year when they got John Campbell from Miami. Except for I think they have to do it on both edges next year.
Austin Price, Volquest, is with us. He joins us thanks to Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. And Austin, over the last couple of years, the question of what will happen with the NCAA case has just kind of hovered around the recruiting. They've recruited fine, it seems to me, and obviously had the on-field success last year. Does this put everything to rest? Will schools still try to use this in some way? What do you think now that the case is wrapped up and Tennessee has its answer?
Well, I think, the last-ditch effort for any school trying to use it against Tennessee was the last handful of days. I think Tennessee needed to get out ahead of some of these things. Like the moment they announced that Tennessee needed to be on the phone with every prospect that's set to announce, and they did that. They were on the phone with Mike Matthews. They were on the phone with everybody. That's got an announcement coming up explaining to them what it all meant, that, there's no bowl ban, which is the only thing that, kids really feel. It's really the only thing that fans really feel either. I mean, the fans know that the last 2 years on Thursday nights, Tennessee didn't have any visitors in town. No, they didn't. They do just things they don't see. And so a lot of that stuff is things they don't see. And, I think the last little bit was just trying to use some of the ignorance of parents or prospects and, what it all means. Because right now, everybody just sees headlines, right? Tennessee docked this scholarships. Tennessee, fined $8 million. They don't, when you kind of lay it out for them and spell it out for them, they go, oh, that's not a big deal at all. And I think that's the biggest thing, is just getting out ahead of it. And I think Tennessee's done a nice job of that. So I think that really is truly behind them at this point.
Austin, is there anything that interests you, or what would interest you the most with Tennessee's players that are coming to Media Days tomorrow? There will be Joe Milton, tight end Jacob Warren, and then defensive lineman Amari Thomas, along with their head coach Josh Heupel.
I'm interested to kind of hear who that group of players feels like is ready to take the next step. I think defensively that's where Tennessee could really grow this year. I think there's a lot of young defenders, especially that group that was freshmen last year that are going into the sophomore year. Some of James Pierce, Josh Josephs, Tyree West, talking about Elijah Herring, players like that have a chance to take the next step. And then do any of these freshmen, Arion Carter, Caleb Herring, Ricky Gibson, Matthews, John Slaughter, do any of them factor at all more than special teams? I think that's the biggest question for me. Some of the younger defenders, how much can they grow going into this 2023 season? Because I think if they've got some growth, especially the guys that will be sophomores, I think the defense could be a lot more talented than they were a year ago.
Austin Price, Volquest.com. As we are winding down the summer conditioning and getting ready for fall camp here the next couple of days, who has generated some serious momentum heading into fall camp that you've heard about, guys that stood out, and where are we as far as the health going into fall camp as well?
Well, I think Jalen Wright's had a really good summer. I think he's carrying himself really much differently than he did a year ago. And he's really close with Jalen Hyatt. He saw the growth that Jalen had last year and what happened. And I think Jalen Wright is very focused. As far as freshmen, I think Cam Seldon's had a phenomenal summer in talking to some people. Now, again, how much does he play? It's the same position as Jalen Wright, of course, Dylan Sampson, Jabari Small. But I think he's a guy that could factor as a bigger back in the offense. I continue to hear really good things about Arion Carter. I think, he's not going to start. I think that'll be Keenan Peely and Aaron Beasley. But I think Arion Carter plays a lot this year as a true freshman. Defensively, who is that pass rusher? Has James Pierce or Josh Joseph had things click for them this offseason? Talking to some people, they put on proper weight and seem to be turning the corner. But again, It's about getting it to the field and having it translate there. And then I continue to hear really good things about Gabe Judy-Lally. I think he's really, really just consistent. Not sure he does anything exceptional. Don't think he does anything bad, though. And I think that's the biggest thing that you can say about him is he's just very consistent and just a guy that makes plays.
Austin Price with us every week thanks to Rick Terry Jewelry Designs, making it unique, making it special, making it just for you. They want to be your jeweler there at Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. So the next item to pay attention to on the recruiting trail, 7 o'clock tonight on the On3 YouTube channel. Wide receiver Mike Matthews to make his announcement with Tennessee. We believe the team to beat going in. So, Austin, before you go, if Tennessee lands him tonight, what is Tennessee getting in Mike Matthews?
And a playmaker. A guy that, has a crazy ability. You talk to some people down at Parkview, and they talk about his ability to hang in the air, whether it be on defense, trying to get a pick, or on offense. I'm talking like comparing him to Michael Jordan in terms of ability to go up and just kind of hang. Like you think he's going to come back down, and he doesn't. Great ball skills. Just a driven kid who really, doesn't rest on any of his success. And, first one in the gym, last one to leave. Carries himself like a pro's pro.
Air Mike.
You're saying Jason Swain wants to be like Mike Matthews, the wide receiver.
That's exactly right.
Just to clarify, he joins us thanks to Rick Terry Jewelry Design. So pay attention tonight, 7 Eastern, Mike Matthews, 5-star wide receiver, to make his announcement. Hey, Austin, thank you for the time as always. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.